When you plant lettuce, if it does not grow well, you don't blame the lettuce. You look for reasons it's not doing well. It may need fertilizer, or water, or less sun. You never blame the lettuce. Yet if we have problems with our friends or family, we blame the other person. But if we know how to take care of them, they will grow well, like the lettuce. Blaming has no positive effect at all, nor does trying to persuade using reason and argument. That is my experience. No blame, no reasoning, no argument, just understanding. If you understand and you show that you understand, you can love, and the situation will change. Good afternoon, my name is Miss Gianna Giusti. I am the school counselor at Herman Hutchins Elementary School. Today, my topic is love is a verb. It is a verb. Love is an action. Love should be an action. It could be an adjective and a noun too, right? Here are all examples of how love can be a verb in your life. When we love with action, we're letting the other people in our lives know that we have intention and that we have purpose for them. And that's how we build connection and how we build community. There's a lot of examples here how love is a verb, and I hope you take a moment to read some of these bullet points. I'm not going to go through them all. And I just want to make it clear today that I'm not just talking about intimate relationships. I'm also talking about love in our families, with ourselves, with our community, with our employers, our employees, basically any human we interact with. How do we love them with purpose, with intention, with action? I'm going to go over two different theories today with you. They're not mine. The first one I'm going over is Dr. Gary Chapman. He has developed the 5 love languages. Who in here is familiar with that? By a show of hands. Good. Excellent. Dr. Gary Chapman and his studies have come up with 5 different love languages, and it's a way that we need to be loved. So I'll just go through them real quickly. The first one is words of affirmation. This is how do you communicate with other people. You encourage, you appreciate them, you listen actively. Physical touch. This doesn't have to be, it could be nonverbal, use of body language, touch to emphasize love. It could just be a simple holding a hand, a high five, a fist pump. Receiving gifts. This is thoughtfulness. It could be giving thoughtful gifts, small gestures. That's something that you like. Quality time, uninterrupted, focused conversations. And then acts of service is using action phrases like, I'll help you. This is when you really like it when people do chores for you, make breakfast for you, go out of their way to help alleviate some of the stress that you have in your lives. So these are the 5 love languages. It's important to know too that if you know your love language, what to avoid in doing as well, because sometimes people might be giving you gifts all the time and your love language is acts of service, and you're like, oh, okay, you're kind of weirding me out right now, giving me all these things, when I really just want you to take out the trash, right? So it's really important to know what your love language is and the love language of those around you. And I left my note cards over here, excuse me. And like I said, this isn't just for personal, intimate relationships. This is for any human that you're dealing with, right? It's really important to know what the love language is of your child, for instance, or my students, for instance. An example I could think of right now is I really take time to know what my students like and what helps foster their communication with other people. You would be amazed at what a game of Jenga can open up, right? And then just taking time, like if someone has that need for quality time and you're giving it to them, when they're having an issue, they're gonna come back to you and it's gonna be so much easier to communicate with them. So, understanding the different methods of love communication will strengthen relationships. Why is it important to know your love language? Why is it important to know those love languages of those around you? It's stronger communication, it's improved understanding, it can increase intimacy, it's greater satisfaction just in life in general, and there's less conflict because you're really taking the time to understand who you're around and you're taking the time to understand what you need as well. I'm such a teacher. I keep wanting to ask any questions, but not yet. I can't do that, right? There'll be Q&A after. So here's an example of love languages for kids. So words of affirmation can look like, again, encouraging, compliments, listening actively. Actions to take is to say I love you to the kids in your life. Write notes. Leave them notes. Praise them in front of others. Be specific in your phrases. And things to avoid is sarcasm. Don't get me started on that. And non-constructive criticism and a not appreciating effort. People like to hear when they do well, right? That's words of affirmation. Physical touch for kids can look like nonverbal body language. Again, a high five, a pat on the back, a hug, holding hands, giving hugs, reading stories together. Nothing is more nurturing, right, than reading a story with a young one. It really builds that connection and that relationship with each other. And then also things to avoid there is physical neglect and abuse of any kind. Receiving gifts for kids is just how that sounds, receiving gifts. Give thoughtful gifts and gestures, small things. It doesn't matter. It could be picking up a rock that you found, going on a hike. One of the coolest gifts that I've ever received from a first grader happened this year. She came into my office and she goes, Miss Giusti, I have a gift for you. And I said, okay, what is this? And it was the littlest pine cone. And she said, it's a special that I brought back just for you. Oh, okay, cry, my mascara's ruined for the day. But that little girl's love language is receiving gifts and giving gifts. And that meant so much to her to take this little token that she found on her hike and give it to an adult. Quality time, uninterrupted and focused on one-on-one time with a child is so important and so needed. And again, it goes in with Dr. Meyer's speech on putting our phone down and spending time, right? And I know it's hard, and I'm guilty of it too, but it's so important to have that one-on-one time with our kids. And then not being distracted during that time, right? Turning off our phone. Acts of service using action phrases like I'll help, and then doing chores together. And a thing to avoid there is making the request of others a higher priority and not focusing on the need of that person at that time. And then it's so important to know our own love language. Now there's quizzes that you can actually take to figure out your love language. I didn't put it on here because I didn't want you to do it when I was talking because I wanted you to listen to me and not look at your phone. So if you go to the Google, I call it the Google because I'm old, and type in Dr. Gary Chapman's 5 love languages, there's a free quiz you could take on their website. It's great books that he has also for the 5 love languages, and you could figure out what fills your love tank. And again, physical touch, acts of service, receiving gifts, words of affirmation, and then quality time as well. So that's something pretty neat to look up and find out about yourself. And next, I'm going to start talking about something new that I've just been researching, and this is from the Gottman Institute. This is Dr. John Gottman's work, and it's called Bids for Connection. Has anyone heard about that? Cool, yes. So, bids for connection. What is bids for connection? Bids for connection is the fundamental unit of emotional communication. It's a request to connect, and they might take the form of an expression, a question, or physical outreach. So, bids for connection are the little moments that people in our life are needing that connection, or maybe we need connection. And it's important to master the art of this tiny moment. Here's an example of a bid for connection, and here's some examples of turning towards that bid, turning away, and turning against. We want to really practice on turning towards bids, because that's showing the people in our lives that we're listening to hear, not to respond, that we're listening with purpose and intention. So if someone enters the room, it could be a spouse, it could be a roommate, it could be an employer, and says, I gave that presentation today, I was so nervous. Turning towards that bid is, oh really, tell me about it, how'd it go? That's showing you're paying attention to the person. That bid is, I really want to talk about my experience. When you're turning away, okay. you think that person who gave that bid is going to feel? Pretty unheard, pretty left out. And then turning against totally, whatever, can't you say I'm working? Do you think that person who gave that bid is going to feel like they're cared for? Love is not a verb in that situation. Love is a verb in this situation. Turning towards a bid is a verb. Turning towards a bid is showing that you care. Turning towards a bid can be something as simple as, can you watch this YouTube short video with me? Okay. But you're giving attention, and you're giving time, and you're listening to the person who's giving that bid. How do you turn towards bids? You pay attention, that's what you do. What do I know about how I make bids? Well, this goes also into learning your love language, right? You have to know what you need as a person to feel good. What do you need? What kind of bids am I giving to people? I'm very verbal. Sorry, everybody who's special in my life, I know. I'm very loud. But when they hear me going off on something, that's a cue that, oh, Gianna needs attention, right? But I also shut down. And when you know the people best in your life, and if you know they're in that flight, fight, or freeze mode, that's another bid for, I need attention. I need someone to check in on me. Could or should I get better at making bids? You could always get better at making bids. Just practice on asking people for help or asking people for when you need love. And I know that's hard sometimes. And I know it depends on maybe how we were raised. Because in my family, we didn't talk about feelings. And it's really hard to talk about feelings now, but you can practice. And it happens. Practice makes perfect, right? How good am I at recognizing the difference between text and subtext? Well, that's knowing your people really well, right? And again, trying to figure out their love language, trying to figure out, how does this person need me right now? What keeps me from making bids? Again, that could be how you were raised. If I was raised in a home and I had a parent who was that turning against for bids all the time, I'm probably not good at making bids as an adult because I was being ignored as a child. Do I turn away or against more often than I turn towards? Well, now that we're learning about this, hopefully we're going to turn towards more and pay more closer attention to those in our lives who we know are asking for that love, asking for that attention. And what does it feel like when my partner doesn't turn towards them? How can I get better at turning towards? So this is all really looking at the people in your life, realizing their needs, going through their love languages, and trying to figure out how can I best support the people who are in my life, because love is a verb, it's an action, it's purposeful, it's intentional. And why do bids matter? The important thing about bids for connection is they all have a hidden message. And the hidden message is, I want to connect with you, so please give me your attention. When someone makes a bid for attention, they are looking for a positive response where you show interest in them. We are all humans. We all need that connection. So how often do I bid? Bid often. Bid all the time. And here's the cool thing about bids is they could be tiny moments. It could be a high five, that's a bid. It could be a thumbs up, that's a bid. It could be a, hey, I appreciate you, that's a bid. Make the people around you feel good. Whoop. And when those bids are ignored, someone feels unheard, and someone feels not listened to, and that could end up with a feeling of not being appreciated, not being valued, and then it ends in resentment. And it's really hard to come back from resentment. Here's some examples of Dr. Gottman's minor bids for emotional connection, and that's showing interest in your accomplishments, sharing the events of your day with a person, be affectionate with somebody, join in with someone with an adventure. Again, this isn't just intimate relationships. This is with students. This is with children. This is with family members. Work on a project with me, learn something new with me, pay attention to what I say. So that's listen to hear, not to respond. Respond to my joke, even though if you're around me, my jokes are really corny, so I might get a groan, and help me relax. So these are all great examples of different ways you can bid. I want to end my presentation today with a poem that I found. And it says, a few authentic words of love and kindness can go a very long way towards helping someone remember their strengths. And we all need that reminder sometimes. When we love with action, we're giving strength to those people in our lives. When we love with action, we're giving strength to people in our community. And now I'm going to ask everyone to do, oh, Dr. Meyer, I'm sorry. I want everyone to pull out their smartphone. Sorry, oh gosh, I'm getting the look. And I'm going to ask you to do love as an action right now. I want you to send a gratitude text to someone in your life, just out of the blue. I want you to send them a text, and I want you to say how much you appreciate them. I want you to give out a bid for connection right now. I want you to let someone in your life know how special they are to you. And make sure your phone's on silent for the next presenter, and I'm sorry, check it at intermission. But I really want everyone to walk away here thinking about how love is action. It does not just happen. Love is a verb. It's for ourselves, it's for the people in our lives, our family, our children, our partners, and our community. Thank you.